CV, it is a bit different than typical CV because, for example, education is a very important part. If you are graduating from a good university, like for example this one, it is great to underline it, and companies know which courses, which universities are like well known for producing experts. So they would actually notice that, and it's very important. So experience. So in a typical CV, you have a list of positions you held in the past, and in translator's CV, you should mainly focus on experience. I mean projects you did, and the areas of expertise you cover. So by projects, I mean that it is good to put as much information as possible about what you did. So even if it means end clients' names or other agencies' names, anything you did, maybe not very detailed, but in general, it should really tell the client what you are doing. So keywords. This is what Annette also mentioned. Keywords are very important because clients use various search engines to look through the CVs they have in the database. So if your CV contains keywords, you would appear in that search, and you would be more probable to find a job, to find assignment, let's say. And errors. So translators are experts who should know how to use the language. So really, errors shouldn't be there, and it's amazing how many, maybe not amazing, but it's unbelievable how many CVs contain errors, translators' CVs. So please make sure that your CVs are really flawless, and maybe someone else should have a look at it, and sometimes we are really subjective about the documents we create, so it's good to ask someone else to help us with checking the CV. So formatting. Why formatting is so important? So nowadays, like localization business is something not only about the language, but also about the terminology, about the technology. So if you know how to format your CV, it means that you know that you are technical savvy, that you know how to use the tools, you know how to use MS Word, which is really a basic tool for a person who works in linguistics, in language business. So please make sure that your CV is formatted well. And international phone number is also an important thing because clients can be based anywhere in the world, so they should know how to find you. So this international, the suffix is very important. So that's obvious, but please remember about that. So what is often missing in translators' resumes? First of all, I would, maybe not first of all, but this is quite important. So if you do any other services than translation, localization, you should put it there, like proofreading, editing, transcription. These are examples, because it doesn't mean that the client would turn to you with requests for such kind of services, but it is good to know that you can also help them with such kind of service. And nowadays, like when we have, for example, machine translation era, it can be really helpful. So that you can, for example, do editing. So it can be your strong point that you don't always focus only on translation, but you do also other stuff. Areas of expertise are actually crucial. So it is very important thing to know that clients know that you can't be an expert in every field. Actually, if you claim to be such kind of expert, it means that you are expert in nothing, because you can't master everything. So you should just focus on a few areas, maybe which are close to each other, and you should be up to date with what is going on in that, and that would mean that you are really a person who knows a lot about that domain. So just don't. Some translators actually are proud of mentioning many areas they are translating. They they are specializing in like legal, technical, medical, but in fact you can do it everything at once. So translation agencies actually know that. So projects, it is very important. I mentioned it already. Type of contact also, because for example, medical translators can do documentation, software, maybe clinical trials. So if you say only that you are working in life science area, it can mean it is just too general. So you should mention what kind of exact content you translated, what kind of projects you worked on. It would help the companies to understand what actually you are doing, what projects they can use you for. So translation companies and end clients are actually very valuable for a potential client. Very often you can't mention these details because the NDAs say that you can't do that. So more often it happens that you can mention end client rather than translation agency. So if you can, just do it, because if, for example, if I'm looking for translators who used to work on Apple projects, I would really appreciate if someone places it in the CV, because I would know that that person knows how to do it. This person wouldn't have to be trained in such kind of projects. But as I said, it's not always so easy with NDAs actually. CAD tools, yeah, of course. As many CAD tools as possible. You should actually put all the CAD tools you know. If you don't have them installed on your computer, you can write that you have experience with these tools, so the clients would know that they don't have to also train you in how to use them. And other IT skills. So that you don't know when these skills would be helpful. When someone would like you to use them. So if you know any other tools, even for yourself, you learn them just for other reasons, for other purposes. It's good to put them in the CV. So when it comes to recruitment process for freelance translator, for freelance supplier, let's say, it usually contains some of these items, maybe not all of them, but very often translators are asked to complete the questionnaire. So this is not something translators like, because usually it's repeating the things from the CV, but actually this is a very important part of the recruitment process, because usually these questionnaires are uploaded to companies' databases, and then they have it organized in a way they want. So just remember about that. If you, for example, I used to have translators who were filling in the gaps, like you can check it in the CV, for example. And how can I use it in my database? It's a kind of item. So please just fill in the gaps with as much information as possible. So it would help you to appear in the searches the companies do in their search engines, which can be really various. They can be, for example, developed only for them by some companies, by their developers. So questionnaire is really important. CV, you not always are asked to deliver the CV, but I actually recommend to add it. If there is only a possibility to attach the CV, just do it, because CV is a document in which you show yourself in a way you would like them to see you. So it is a great opportunity to just to show them yourself that way. So interview. Sometimes even for freelance translators, the companies do interviews, usually via Skype, via phone, but they just want to make sure that the person knows the processes, the person has certain experience. So you could be asked to attend such kind of interview. NDA is usually signed with the person who starts working with the company. It actually contains all the information about how to deal with confidentiality. Translators very often actually usually deal with confidential stuff. It can be information about the products which are not launched yet, about some confidential information about the financials of certain companies. Usually NDAs contain a penalty if something comes to public, you would be actually maybe not sued to court, but you would be you could be endangered by some penalties. But this is something which really doesn't happen, so you shouldn't be worried by that. But this is a kind of standard procedure. Sample translation. So very often translators are asked to deliver sample translation, usually for free, so they are not paid to do that sample translation. If it is not very long, it's okay. I believe like 300 words is still okay, like 1 page. And this can happen quite often. Just you probably know that. References. So very often companies check the references. So it is good to have a kind of reference letter from your previous employers, previous companies you cooperated with. But sometimes the companies also check the references by calling the companies, calling vendor managers, project managers you cooperated with, or maybe writing to them. So it can also happen. So establishing cooperation is a kind of process where you agree on certain conditions to cooperate with the company. It can also, actually, it usually involves rate negotiation. So very often the companies are just limited by the budgets they have, and if you don't meet their expectations, you can probably achieve something by negotiating, but not too much. So actually, negotiations is a different story. So you should probably find a lot about that on internet, on books. So let's leave it, let's say. And service level agreement. So not all companies do that. It's usually a document which states all the conditions for the cooperation, like, for example, payment terms, like what the company expects from the translator, from the person, and very often you are actually asked to sign such kind of documents before starting the cooperation.